So, lesbians on chairs. All those lesbians on chairs, and no harm came to it.
Yeah.
The world didn't come to an end. Nobody murdered anybody, there was no violence, there was no hate. Hundreds of lesbians sat on chairs, and it was fine. I wonder if the security guards who removed Julia Long the other week realised that lesbians can sit on chairs and it's fine. Yes.
Thank you. So we're here in a very swanky place where we're going to have a cup of tea. But first, we want to talk about what happened last night. My name's Claire.
My name's Jan.
And Jan is a leading light in the feminist campaigning group Object, who are behind all sorts of initiatives. And do you want to outline your kind of focus?
Yes, our issue is 5 different aspects of objectification, how they operate together to keep women subordinate. 3 of them are in the sex trade, so we've got pornography, prostitution and so-called sex encounter venues, which are really more strip joints, which all keep women for sale and keep women commoditised. And then there's the new issue, surrogacy, which is farming basically, using women as farms to produce babies for people who, for whatever reason, want a baby. There's no checks that they're able to look after the baby, love the baby or anything, as there is with any other parenting. But we feel it needs looking at critically to examine whether it should be happening or not, because we're not sure it should. And then finally the transgender issue. We don't believe there's such a thing as transgender. It may be an excuse that people use to make changes in their life. There's no evidence it makes anybody happier in the long term, and it certainly costs a lot of people, including the NHS, a lot of money that we can ill afford. So we link these issues and we campaign on all of them separately as well, often in alliance with other feminist organisations.
So I'm a big supporter of Object, and they were also behind the trip to New York, which was the global launch of the Declaration of Women's
Yes, we went to New
Rights.
York to work with Leah Keith of the Deep Green Resistance and the New York feminist groups to launch the Declaration of Women's Rights, which says that we women need all the rights we've managed to squeeze out from men over the years. We need them because we're still oppressed, discriminated against, underpaid and overworked to the benefit of men. And this is not the time for us to give our rights away. The time for us to give our rights away will be when we've had all the rights that give us equality to men and all the things that men have for about 5,000 years, like men have had their benefits. So no rush on that score. Let's hang on to them for now.
Yeah. So I'm delighted to say that Object are going to help us put on the Leeds event. We're having an event which is the first event in the UK where we're going to have the authors of the Women's Declaration come and talk to us about the Declaration and the process of bringing it to fruition and how we can get involved, because this is a global movement of women. Yeah, we'd like some tea. Yeah. But can we just come back in a minute? Thank you. Yeah, we're totally taking over that cafe. Which is a global movement of women. So there are women from all over the world that have signed this declaration already, and you can sign it too. It's at womensdeclaration.com. Really simple to find. Or just put Women's Declaration into Google. And come to the event in Leeds on the 25th of May. You'll need to contact the Leeds Spinners or me or Emma Dolan or any of the Leeds Spinners to get the access code, or any of the women that have already got it. You're very, very welcome. It's a space that we're holding for women in the main. Men are allowed to come if you would like to come and you're a man. But in the main, we're holding this space for women so that we can discuss our rights. So we're not going to be talking about how it makes men feel. So last night we came to, it wasn't last night was the party afterwards. Yesterday in the daytime we went to this fantastic, the latest Standing for Women kind of Posey Parker Venice Allen event, which was called Lesbians on Chairs, which was inspired by Julia Long being thrown out of Accenture not long ago for sitting on a chair in a...
No, come on, be fair. She was drinking a glass of wine and she was eating a piece of pizza. Now, we all know no one's allowed to do those things.
Yeah, I think it was the wearing flannel while doing them that really...
Was it?
So, yeah, possibly. Anyway, so we went to this event. There were a bunch of lesbians in a room, 159 lesbians, I believe, and one man.
Yeah. He was well behaved. We didn't have to
5
notice
lesbians on the panel and a lesbian compere extraordinaire, and it was a great event, and we really discussed visualising lesbian culture. We looked at the history of the movement. Sheila gave a really powerful account of how rich and varied and diverse lesbian culture used to be, with bookshops and theatre groups and venues and discos and all this stuff going on that we've lost because people have kind of become involved and then derailed it, moved the focus off women, and as soon as you move the focus off women, you don't have that women-only space anymore. Women are not interested, because the whole reason why we want to go is because it's women-only space. We're not interested in being in a mixed space, otherwise we'd be in normal discos or theatre groups or whatever. So it was fabulous. So Jan, do you want to say which bit did you enjoy the most and which bit did you enjoy the least?
I really enjoyed Sheila's rush through the history, which was great. It's always good to be reminded of that because it's very little known. And I like Julia's statement, actually, it's fine just to be. You can't change the world with one of us. It's more important to keep yourself happy, healthy, keep to your principles, and just doing that and being is actually enough. I think that's quite reassuring in this world where so many things do look to us as if they need to be put right.
Yeah. I think I can't decide between Julia's talk and Deauville's about visualising the culture that we want to create and just focusing on what we want to have happen in the world, not being so reactive to events, but just responding to our own truths and our own needs and our own desires, and creating this rich culture that we know women will create if we're given the freedom to create it. So that was my favourite bit. Which was your least favourite bit?
I felt there was a certain degree of repetition between the last two speakers.
Yeah.
So I felt it tailed off a little bit there. But it was very good hearing from the woman in the USA about how
Julia Beck.
The distances are so vast there.
Yeah.
The local government is done differently, so that we've actually got more influence in some ways here than they have there over what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, amazing to have Julia Beck come over from America. I mean, Julia Beck was testifying to Congress not long ago, and I was watching that on YouTube, and she's been at the forefront of this. They're fighting back hard, and they've got to fight from they've lost more ground than we've lost here. So they've got to fight even harder to get back to the same place.
Yeah, this was Obama's one mistake, wasn't it? The big mistake that he made, saying, yes, we drank the Kool-Aid, the trans is the new discriminated against group, without looking critically at it to see if it actually
I don't know
existed.
whether he drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, he accepted a lot of campaign money from Jennifer Pritzker, didn't he?
Yes, that's right.
So, whoever pays the piper calls the tune.
Yes.
And that was another message which came through last night really clearly, was that the more compromises you make and the more you have to compromise your vision in order to work with people or manifest stuff that's going on. For instance, if you're in a job where you have to say you believe certain things and not other things, and that's not what you feel inside, that's not good for you. It's not good for any of us.
For your physical and mental health.
I think that's really, really key, and I think that, as if possible, all women should be planning a strategy to support themselves in a way where they don't have to do that, and that's really hard.
Do that are very fortunate.
Yeah, and that's really hard, particularly I think for professional women. So many of our professional organisations are now mandating that we have certain philosophical and religious beliefs that we should be free to choose to adopt or reject.
And yet we do have the human rights under law to have freedom of opinion and freedom of speech, as long as we're not hurting anybody else.
Yeah,
However,
and
those
in
rights
fact,
are not being implemented.
That new organisation, Fair Cop, has just been launched today, And I think you were one of the signatories to that as well. Just many fingers in many pies.
There are many pies that need to be cooked and eaten. And I'm happy to help. Yes.
Yeah, so that's about supporting people who have had either vexatious legal harassment
and getting them together to hopefully take a class action against the police for spending more energy talking to people who've expressed an opinion than they do over knife crime, where our young people in London are being killed on a daily, if not weekly basis, and the police don't seem able to do anything.
Yeah,
they're always able to turn up and interview somebody who said something that a transgender person didn't like.
Yeah. There's lots going on, and what I'd like to say to people is get involved. You know,
definitely get involved.
Talk
do
to
something and you will feel
another
better.
mum at the school gates. Write to your MP. Turn up at your local councillor surgery. Order a feminist book for your local library. Gift some money for a group of girls that are planning on doing something. Come to a Standing for Women event, or a We Need to Talk event, or a WPUK event, or any women's space or any women's land that you get the opportunity to experience it. You don't know what you're missing until you've experienced it. It's transformative. It's very different to ordinary life, and it's so worthwhile. So just do something. Just do a small thing, and you will feel so much better about the life that we lead and the conditions that we live in. Get involved. Come to Leeds on the 25th of May with the declaration.
London, yes.
Come to London for lots and lots of things, but there's lots of things going on in London. It's not so much outside of London, but there are resistors groups all over the country. Get in touch with your local resistors. Get on Mumsnet, get on Twitter, get on Facebook. See if you can find your way into some of these groups that exist in all these platforms. Connect with women. We talked about this concept of lesbian connectors, didn't we? Instead of thinking about lesbian separatism, think about lesbian connectors, and actually just making those networks, building those networks. So, get in touch. You can email us. You can email. Can they email you?
Via the website,
Yeah, on the Object website. The Leeds Spinners will be doing a website soon. Don't tell anyone. And you'll be able to email us through there. But until then, just drop me a line on Twitter or something if you want to chat. It was amazing last night, actually. I did meet a whole bunch of people after the event, and they were like, "Oh, I know you from Twitter, and we follow each other." But obviously, a lot of them never have a photo or anything that's identifying them when they're on their Twitter. So really, really nice to put names to faces. And I got a selfie with Julia Beck. So that was a real highlight for me. And I got a hug from Sheila Jeffries. And Sheila Jeffries signed my Beauty and Misogyny book. And it was a real shame because she had some of her Lesbian Revolution books for sale, and I just bought one on Wordery the other day. So that's in the post to me already, so I couldn't buy another one. That would have been silly. Anyway, we're about to go and have our tea. So see you again. Bye.
Happy feministing.